There is a hidden history that's been deliberately obfuscated from the peoples of the world, and that's why I am on the trail of the Nephilim. The Genesis 6 narrative states that the Nephilim are on the earth in those days and also afterwards. If that's true, can we find evidence that corroborates this? I'm L.A. Marzulli. Join me as we go on the trail of the Nephilim. I'm your intrepid host. Welcome to another edition of On the Trail of a Nephilim. I want to thank my good friend Mando Gonzalez. Mando and I have been to Israel together and to Peru many, many times, and also into the Ohio Valley and looking at all sorts of artifacts. And Mando sent this image to me, and I'll get into that in just a second. But first, a word from our trusted sponsor. The U.S. dollar has lost 85% of its value since the 1970s when the dollar decoupled from gold, and the government seems bent on continuing the tradition. From now until after the next elections, the government can print as much money as they want. The last time they did that, folks, inflation went up 9%. This means one thing: the security of your future and your family's future is all in your hands. Make sure you freeze the value of your wealth you are holding. Invest in gold with Noble Gold Investments. Gold is the one asset that is proven to withstand recession, inflation, and just about all economic threats. Noble Gold Investments is here to help you if you want to invest in gold. You will also get a 24-karat quarter-ounce gold standard coin for free. Folks, go to noblegoldinvestments.com. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. Tell them you heard it on L.A. Marzulli's show. We believe in it. We've invested a portion of our life savings in gold, and boy, folks, I am glad we did. So here we go. This is the article that Mondo sent to me. Giant stone artifacts found on rare Ice Age site in England, in Kent, England. And you can see the size of this hand axe. So this would be, they would take the piece of flint and they would strike it into this point, and then you would hold it in your hand and do whatever you're going to do with it. But some of these things are really big. Miss Ingrid of UCL Institute of Archaeology said, "We describe these tools as giants when they are over 22 centimeters long, and we have two in this size range. The biggest, a colossal 29.5 centimeters in length, is one of the longest ever found in Britain. These hand axes are so big it's difficult to imagine how they could have been easily held and used." And I totally respect that and understand that, and that's her point of view, and she is certainly entitled to that. But here's the deal. This was in the museum in Chicago, the Field Museum in Chicago. And what's interesting about this is a large spearhead. And what they say, and this is my whole point, the Hopewell used them for ceremonial purposes. Such objects showed their owners high status. How do they know that? They don't. They're guessing. They're just totally guessing. Let's go back here to this hand axe. So if you can't use a hand axe, and you can see how big this thing is, if you can't use this, if a normal human being can't use this hand axe, then what was it for? And because anything that doesn't fit their paradigm, it's immediately labeled, drumroll please, ceremonial. But they don't know that. They're guessing. They're guessing that it's ceremonial. They don't know. So if you make a hand axe that's for somebody that's 8 or 9 feet, this thing's going to work perfectly. But see, in their perspective, in their paradigm, I should say, there is no room for giants. Certainly the Nephilim didn't exist. This hybrid entity from the fallen angels and the human women of earth, creating a hybrid being. But we know that that's exactly what happened, because Genesis 3:15 tells us that's exactly what happened, that there's going to be a war between the offspring of the dragon and the offspring of the woman, and that's how it works. So going back to this is, and I was there, obviously, I took the picture at the Field Museum in Chicago, and this spearhead's like this long, but again, it's ceremonial. Well, let's just walk through this. First of all, Hopewell was a farmer. So the archaeologists have really no idea who these people were. They just label them the Hopewell because of the farmer. So all these artifacts that were found on Hopewell's farm, this whole culture is just labeled Hopewell, but they don't know what these people called themselves. And they certainly have no idea. Such objects show their owner's high status. That's 100% conjecture. So this is where I have a problem, because you're lying to us. Now, whether that's deliberate or whatever, I don't know. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Why not say something like this? We have no idea who these people were or what they called themselves. And we really don't understand what this object, this large obsidian spear blade, would have been used for. Why not say something like that instead of just, going back and it's the high status? Because you don't know that. That's 100% conjecture on your part. What if an 8 or 9 footer was using this spear and then it becomes completely utilitarian? Here's another one. This is a very large axe, really large axe head, okay? You can see it. These copper axes, or celts, show no sign of wear, leading archaeologists to believe that they held symbolic meaning. As with Columbian redstone and greenstone axes, Hopewell leaders may have used copper axes to indicate their power to clear land and build monumental ceremonial centers. And that's certainly a paradigm, which is something to consider. But once again, it's conjecture. They're just reading into that. And how do we know that this axe wasn't used? Okay, so it shows a little sign of wear. Maybe the guy just got it and then something happened. You see, here's the deal. What happens to these people? Where do they just vanish? Why do they leave implements like this behind? Why would you leave an axe head that's never been used behind? Wouldn't you take that with you? So the mystery deepens, in my opinion, because these people just disappear. I said this last week or several weeks ago when we talked about the idea that all these different sites all over the world, some group of people or whatever come into the site, they create these incredible megalithic sites or octagon mounds, circle mounds. They make huge mounds like in Silbury, and then they just all disappear. What happens to them, no one knows. And the archaeologists said, well, they just assimilated it into the local population. Well, we don't know that. That's conjecture. And we have no record of any tribe that I'm aware of in the United States which talks about the influx of people that just, we came from upriver because there was climate change and we killed all the game. There was nothing left to eat. So we came down here. We just abandoned the site. Remember, when the first white men went into Ohio and they asked the indigenous people, the First Nation people, who built these artifacts, who built the octagon mound, the Circle Mound, and all these other places. And we visited many of them, and we're actually going back there right after the conference in Lima, but I digress. So the natives said, we don't know, it was here when we got here. So who do we believe? Do we believe Cyrus Thomas and others of his ilk that said, well, Native Americans built all this, they just forgot that they had done so? So, what are we to believe? And that's my point, that if they don't know, then they're guessing. So why is their guess better than my guess? What if something really cataclysmic happened to these people? And my biblical reference to this is when the pre-incarnate Christ appears to Abraham with the 2 angels, and he sends the 2 angels up to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, okay? And then he says something to Abraham, I'll bless you through your line, through your seed, all the nations will be blessed. So now we know the Messianic line comes from Abraham. We know that. That's where it comes from. But then he says something really enigmatic. Well, you're going to go down to Egypt for 400 years until the sin of the Amorites comes into its fullness. So there seems to be this waiting game where the Most High God is patient and allows things to run their course, as it were. And then he acts. As I said several weeks ago, is it possible that he just comes down, he releases his angels, and these people are taken someplace else, taken into another dimension? I don't know, taken to Tartarus? I don't know. That's complete conjecture on my part, and that's a supernatural paradigm. But I find it interesting that all these sites, why would you leave a copper axe, a brand new copper axe head, which is huge, Why would you leave us behind? Wouldn't you take that with you if you were abandoning the site, especially if it's new? You're going to take it someplace wherever you're going because this is a great implement to help you reestablish or establish a new homeland someplace else. But the axe head is there, isn't it? It's left behind. And I find that incredibly enigmatic. Okay, the Go Therefore conference, Dr. Mike Spalding, L.A. Marzulli. Derek and Sharon Gilbert, always good to see Derek and Sharon. Dr. Michael Lake. Coach Dave, hang on to your seat there. Dr. Sherry Tenpenny, it'd be great to meet her finally. I was on her show a couple of months ago, and that was great. David Hevner, I consider all these people a friend. Dr. Gregory Reed, I haven't seen Dr. Reed in quite some time, so it'll really be great to catch up with him. Of course, friend of our show, Pastor Casper, Randy Conway, Kenny Sia. I've never met Kenny. Tom Dunn, he sort of picked up where Russ Isdar, because Russ passed away. It's hard to believe. It's time just ticks by, and it's 2 years now. Hard to believe, almost 2 years. So it'd be great to see Tom Dunn. And of course, our very own Vicki Joy Anderson, who wrote the incredible book on sleep paralysis, They Only Come Out at Night. And once again, we thank Bob Elric for giving us the title. So there it is, the five DVD box set right up on the screen. You can avail yourself of all 5 DVDs, lamarzulli.net. lamarzulli.net. I am getting close on the cattle mutilation film. It is the darkest film I've ever produced, hands down. Been involved in. I've been lamenting to my good friend and business partner Gil Zimmerman about it because it's very, very disturbing. And there will be a viewer discretion advised right up in front of the film. It's certainly not something that you want to show a 12-year-old kid. And whoever you show this, when you procure the film, you want to make sure that they're mature. Get prayed up before you watch it and after you watch it, because what we're doing is we're showing the handiwork of the dragon, in my opinion. Others may disagree, but this is the handiwork of the dragon. So anyway, folks, we hope to see you at the end of the month in Ohio. I know they're up around getting close to 200 people that have signed up for the conference. We're hoping for 300. So it's the only time I'm going to be in Ohio this year. It's a great conference, lots of great speakers. They've got me on Friday night, so I can go long, and I will go long. Hope to see you there. Thanks so much for watching, folks. Remember, there is a hidden history that's been deliberately obfuscated from the peoples of the world, and that's why I am on the trail of the Nephilim.